Welcome to the Best 5-Minute Wine Podcast with Forrest Kelly.
I am Damon Raque, founder and managing partner at Bottle Bank in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a wine collector and wine lover for several years. And when I decided to kind of take my life in a different direction, the old adage of follow something you're passionate about.
The Best 5-Minute Wine Podcast.
You've heard the term adapt or die. In business, you've always got to be able to pivot, know what your consumer wants, and then be able to give it to them quickly. You can't become rigid in today's market. We've seen it with ride sharing. Nowadays, you don't have to go to a hotel. You've got choices. And in the wine business, Damon Raque has listened and we get Bottle Bank. All right, Damon, give us that sizzling picture description of what Bottle Bank is.
Bottle Bank is a wine-centric hospitality concept based in Atlanta. And we are wine-centric because we love wine. And we love the connectivity of wine, and we love the experiences that wine creates. And so we wanted to create an environment where individuals that shared a passion could get together and spend quality time with like-minded individuals and enjoy everything about wine and the way of life that surrounds it.
Did you create Bottle Bank because your own wine collection was starting to take over your living room, or was it just an excellent excuse to taste more wine?
I'm going to say all of the above. It's kind of a funny origin story. I've been a wine collector and wine lover for several years. And when I decided to kind of take my life in a different direction, the old adage of follow something you're passionate about, I called a sommelier buddy of mine and said, hey, I want to take you to lunch and kind of pick your brain a little bit and get your thoughts on some things. So we go to lunch and I said, hey, where do you see the biggest opportunity in the wine industry in the next 5 to 10 years? And he looks at me and he says, storage. And I kind of looked back at him with a puzzled look and I said, storage? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's kind of interesting. I said, I get, if you live in an apartment or a townhouse or a condo and you fundamentally don't have space, you might need the ability to store some wine. But people that are into wine and have a home, they typically have a cellar or a large wine fridge. Why would people need to store wine outside of their home? And he looks at me and he says, you built a house a few years ago, didn't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, you put it in a wine cellar? And I said, I did. He said, let me guess. He said, when you were designing it, trying to figure out how to rack it, you were thinking about capacity and how many bottles you'd want to store. And I said, yeah. And he said, at the end of the day, you probably said, you know what? I'm going to rack it at max capacity, thinking to yourself, you know what? I'll never need it, but better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And I kind of said, yeah. And he said, let me guess. That was 2-3 years ago? And I shook my head and he said, you're full. And I kind of laughed and I just said, man, get out of my head. And he said, Damon, they keep buying and buying and buying. And so I thought about it logically. People that have a passion, if it's watches or wine or cars or shoes or handbags, whatever a person's into, if they have the ability and kind of give themselves the excuse to buy more, then typically they will do it. So that kind of set me out on the journey researching wine storage facilities literally all over the world. And what I quickly realized was, the large majority of them were just basic warehouses at 55 degrees with nothing experiential associated with it. So I'd always loved hospitality and kind of the connectivity of drinking wine, not just collecting it. So we said, hey, what if we kind of create this environment where people can store their wine, but more importantly, they can drink it and share it with other people that love wine. And that's what we set out to do. So that was the long story of how Bottle Bank came to be.
Paid and I take my $100 that I want to put into savings, big spender here. I walk into the bank, I talk to a teller and they take it and, then 5 minutes, hopefully I'm done. I'm out the door. So Bottle Bank is not that same experience. So I walk into Bottle Bank. What am I looking at?
We knew right off the bat that we did not want to be a traditional restaurant or wine bar. There's people that do that. There's people that do it very well. And what's interesting is, those models are typically based on volume and transactions. Like you had said, when you look at a traditional restaurant model, they're wanting to get you in, serve you, and get you out so they can turn the table. table and have another wave of people that come in and experience the restaurant. And the more they sell, the more volume they do, the better the restaurant does. And we're calling our concept a wine lounge. And we kind of highlight that word lounge because we want people to do the exact opposite. We want them to stay as long as possible. So we've been very thoughtful in terms of the layout and the design and the decor. If you think about sofas and club chairs and, again, kind of a living room type of environment where people want to relax and hang out for a couple of hours and meet new people and spend time with their friends and share bottles and that type of environment. So it's a lot less volume driven and transactional, more so, again, inviting people to stay and relax and hang out for a while and talk and enjoy wine.
Putting this whole thing together, you did some research, right?
Correct.
Was it done through a company or your just own experiences and you just started putting them down? How did you come into make it a clear vision?
Really kind of on my own. It's morphed over time. Initially, I looked at strictly wine storage, and there's a couple of folks in Atlanta that do traditional wine storage, just a warehouse at 55 degrees, basic utilitarian storage for folks that have outgrown their current cellaring situation. And I was looking at wine storage literally all over the world. So Australia, New Zealand, the UK, different places in Europe, all over the US. And again, that's when I kind of realized most of these places didn't have anything that allowed people to take advantage of a wine community. Some had a small little tasting room or a tiny little lounge, but nothing really hospitality driven. And in my former life, I was in sales and consulting and financial services and did a lot of work with restaurateurs and chefs and those types of folks. So had kind of had a background in hospitality from that side of it. And I think it started out as more of a wine storage concept supported with hospitality. And over time, as we've conceptualized the business, it's really flip-flopped. Now it's more of a hospitality concept with a wine storage component. So
like a safe deposit box kind of situation where if you bring in a particular bottle, I don't know if you've listened to the episode, but I talked to wine investors and where you can buy together with multiple people, buy a $5,000 bottle of wine, say, so vint.co. Perhaps you buy this expensive bottle, you bring it to the bank. Is it stored someplace else or is it in your actual storage part of the bank?
So each individual member, so we're going to be a semi-private concept. So we are open to the public, but we also have an optional membership component. So one of the benefits of membership is an individual private wine vault. And we're going to have two different sizes. We're still figuring out the exact capacity, but as it stands now, we'll have one size that's going to be between 3 and 4 cases, and a second size that will be smaller at 1 case. So individuals will have the ability to source wine from us, but also more importantly, wherever they obtain their wine, if it's online, if it's at a local wine store, if it's via an allocation list or a wine club subscription, we can accept their shipments. They can come and pick them up, or they can say, leave the wine there at Bottle Bank. We will stick it in their private vault. They can store it there, and more importantly, they can enjoy it. So the overall size of the space is about 9,000 square feet, of which about 3,000 square feet is going to be the wine vault where members can store their wine. And the remaining square footage is going to be, again, a big lounge, tasting rooms, chef's table, tasting counter, some other fun kind of amenities that we've put together to kind of create the Bottle Bank experience holistically.
In our next interview with Damon Raque, co-founder of BottleBank.com, we will get into who their customer is.
I envision Bottle Bank appealing to a variety of individuals, and that's the great thing about wine. It's inclusive and it is connected.
Oh, I like the sound of executive chef. I've got some executive food items I'd like him to prepare. Why is storing wine at a particular controlled environment so important?
As a wine person, keeping the wine cool, keeping it consistent, and keeping the temperature and humidity is very important just for the longevity and the integrity of the wine. So we wanted to provide a perfect cellaring environment. So again, 55 degrees, 70% relative humidity. The bottles will be stored on their sides to keep the corks moist. Again, just give people that don't have the opportunity to properly store wine, give them the opportunity to store it properly in an environment that's secure. And again, more importantly, the ability to enjoy it in a beautiful environment with great energy.
So if you could pluck out somebody from a crowd, who would be your perfect client?
I envision Bottle Bank appealing to a variety of individuals. And that's the great thing about wine. It's inclusive and it is connective. So I see some people that are just going to want to come and hang out in a beautiful space with great energy and great amenities. I see another group of people that I kind of refer to as aspiring enthusiasts. So they've had some wine, they like it, they're kind of interested in it. They say, you know what, this is pretty cool. I'd like to learn more about this. So these are folks that, would appeal to the wine tastings and the wine dinners and, some of the educational type of planning that we'll provide. And then I think on the other end of the spectrum, you have those, pretty serious wine collectors and connoisseurs that have been into wine for a long time. They've obtained a wonderful collection over the years, and now we're just looking for a great place to enjoy the wine and to interact with other individuals and bottle share, and again, enjoy tastings and wine dinners. And one of the benefits of membership as well, Forrest, is access to our executive chef for private dining experiences. So imagine your 50th birthday is coming up and you've got these 3 bottles that you've been saving for the last 20 years to drink at your 50th with a group of close friends, and you sit down with our private chef and you say, hey, these are the wines that I want to serve. And our sommelier sits down with you and chef and creates a 6-course tasting menu to pair specifically with those wines. And you're tucked away in a beautiful tasting room, having that private dining experience for the evening and really just creating a wonderful memory. So I think giving opportunities like those to people at all levels and all stages of an individual wine journey allows us to do some pretty special things. So we're excited. Yeah.
And you envision having a dress code, or it's going to be implied, or?
Yes, I think dress code's going to be important. We want people to be comfortable, but at the same time, our goal is to really provide and create an elevated experience. So, having people, not being in shorts and flip flops and just coming from the gym and stuff like that. I kind of always right. joke with people. There's a time and a place for everything. I've never seen anybody working out in a tuxedo, and I've never seen anybody at a wedding wearing running shorts. So we'll try to monitor that. Just honor the experience and give people a sense of occasion, so to speak.
If we live long enough, we'll get there to those points. I mean, to see people in sweats and all kinds of stuff at airports where we never used to see that. But
very true.
Yeah. Speaking of the dress code, the reason I was asking, because you've got a chandelier lounge or area on the rendering of the pictures on the website at bottlebank.com. Looks just amazing. So that's the angle you're going for. High class all the way.
Yes, and thank you for the kind words. We've hired a wonderful design team. Our architect has a hospitality background. He's done several restaurants here in Atlanta and casinos and hotels, along with our interior design team. Again, a wonderful group of people that have extensive hospitality experience as well as residential experience to create that living room type of environment, those great tasting rooms that we get to experience when we're out in Sonoma, Napa, and some other beautiful properties across the country, and creating that comfortable environment where people want to hang out and drink wine and meet new people and hang out with old friends.
Have you worked with the city in Atlanta, in Midtown, as a part of a redevelopment project? Seems it's just a short walk to just about anything high culture.
It is. We're fortunate. We've got a lease on a beautiful space in Midtown Atlanta. So if you're familiar with Atlanta, Atlanta's pretty spread out and, pretty segmented. There's downtown, there's Midtown, there's Buckhead, there's wonderful suburbs that kind of are peppered around central Atlanta. And Midtown is really considered the heart of the arts. So a lot of the museums and performing arts centers are within walking distance. some wonderful restaurants, a high density area, very walkable, high-rise residential, and a tremendous amount of high-rise Class A office buildings as well. So we are going to be in the ground floor of a Class A office building right on Peachtree Street. Dense and walkable and artistic and vibrant, and just a beautiful area. We're super excited.
Membership, have you worked out the pricing?
We have.
So to try out the services of bottlebank.com for the experience, the whole thing. So have you got membership tiers, or is there a walk-in price?
So again, we are open to the public. So a very extensive wine by the glass program, a deep by the bottle program as well. And then on the food side, we wanted to really focus on those types of things that enhance the wine drinking experience. So a very robust list of cheeses and charcuterie and chocolates and desserts. So again, not a restaurant, but rather a separate and distinctive experience. So, this would be a place where people would want to come before dinner to start their evening, or would want to come after dinner for a nightcap or a gallery opening or a performance. Again, a separate but distinctive experience from a traditional restaurant and standard dining experience. And that portion of the lounge, again, will be open to the public. And obviously our members will also have access to the main lounge. In addition to that, members will have a members only lounge that'll be part of Bottle Bank, in addition to several tasting rooms and a tasting counter and chef's table in the back, again, for private dining experiences, for entertaining friends, clients in their business, and a list of other amenities. But we're looking at a annual membership of $2,500, and that would include one of the wine vaults, and then there will be an upcharge for the larger capacity locker as well, and we're still kind of tinkering with the pricing on that.
You founded this with a co-founder, Rich. Tell me about Rich, because he told me a little bit about you, so I just want to see if the two stories line up.
And Rich and I have been best friends for, coming up on 25 years. Rich is a serial entrepreneur by nature and has been involved in several different businesses, has a wonderful mind for business, is incredibly intelligent, is very tech savvy, very creative, high energy. And as I was conceptualizing Bottle Bank, he started off as, like any best friend would, just kind of a sounding board and a source of encouragement and idea sharing, those sorts of things. And as Bottle Bank kind of evolved, he said to me, "Hey man, I think this is a great business with you involved. It's going to be a tremendous business. And if you're interested, I'd love to do this with you." So we decided to become business partners. Two heads are better than one, and our skill sets are very complementary to one another. And he's been a tremendous partner. We're looking forward to creating something pretty special together.
In our last conversation, we kind of learned about your relationship with Rich. And I was just going to say, in our email conversations back and forth with Rich, he mentioned that you can be pretentious. Or wait, that's not pretentious. He said that there was an Epiphany bottle of wine that you had where it was like kind of changed your life and said, okay, we got to do something with this. Do you remember what it was?
I absolutely do. Yeah, it was a
Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast.
2006 Gemstone, which is a small boutique producer out of Napa Valley, headquartered in Yountville. Just to tell the quick story, I was at a friend of mine's restaurant, and I was sitting at the bar, and he had come off of a 2 or 3 month dry period where he was just kind of taking a break from drinking. And I was at the bar having dinner, and I feel this tap on my shoulder and a grab on my arm, and I get pulled out of my chair. And it's my buddy that had come off the wagon. He pulls me up. We go back into kind of the bowels of the restaurant, into the wine cellar in the back. And I come into the wine cellar for us, and there's these wine crates in a circle, and there's all these bottles on the floor. And it's a bunch of wholesalers and wine distributors that were in Atlanta. And they were kind of celebrating my buddy's, being re-released into the wild, coming off of the wagon for 2 or 3 months. And so we sat down and started drinking wine. And the more we drank and the later it got, the more expensive, crazier bottles we started opening, which is kind of funny how that happens. It should be the exact opposite, right? You should open the expensive stuff first and then finish with the less expensive stuff where you're not going to remember what you were drinking. But all that to say, we had some amazing wine, and that was just a fantastic evening in terms of just fun and spontaneity. And of all the bottles we drank, it was this particular bottle that I walked away. I couldn't get it out of my head. And I was like, wow, I didn't know wine could taste like this. And that kind of sparked a journey of me really getting interested in wine. So I researched the wine and I searched it out and found out who the winemaker was. And then, as you know, you kind of go down these rabbit holes and start tasting more and drinking more and figuring out what you like and why you like it, and attending tastings and wine dinners and meeting other people, and the social aspect increases, and next thing you know, you're addicted. So that was kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it, as they say.
What wine was it again? Say it again.
2006 Gemstone.
Those of you listening, if you'd like a bit of a discount, perhaps on your membership to Bottle Bank, bring that wine in as a thank you for setting this whole thing up for Damon, and he'll give you something, maybe. Booby prize, probably.
I like the way you think.
With the casino, my wife loves to gamble, and so she's got her own private host who calls her and texts her all the time with benefits and things like that. Are you guys going to have something like that?
We probably will. We'll have a full staff, obviously, servers and bartenders and a chef and a cooking team and a team of sommeliers and wine professionals. And again, we created several opportunities for entertaining and private dining experiences for our members. So having an events coordinator / members concierge, that role will absolutely exist to coordinate all of the different activities, because we'll have wine dinners and tastings and events that are member specific. That'll be invitation only for members. So having a person, again, to kind of white glove that coordination and those services will definitely be a part of the Bottle Bank team for sure.
Okay. Is there any cool story or anything about the vault security and surveillance?
No, it'll be one entrance and one exit only. We'll have cameras, some you can see, some that you can't see. There's so many ways to do it now. We initially looked at biometric entry. The problem with that is, some of that technology can be glitchy. And if you have to replace the thumbprint or the eye scan, you have to have all the members come back and engage with the process to get their fingerprint or their retina scan into the unit. So now there's platforms that are mobile on your phone that allow you to swipe the phone. Will give you access to not only your individual vault, but also access into the vault facility. We all have our phones on there, don't have to worry about carrying a key with us or a membership card. So that's the direction that we're looking in.
We wrap up our conversation with Damon Raque of BottleBank.com.
And I was shocked at how difficult it was.
Best 5-minute wine podcast.
Last question. So doing this whole thing from when you started up until current, as we talk now, an obstacle. Has there been some obstacles where it was like, okay, this could go either way? I don't know if I've overcome this.
Countless.
Oh, yeah.
Countless obstacles. The first one that was challenging was finding the right location. I was shocked at how difficult it was to find the right location, not only geographically, but the size of the space, the accessibility of the space, the ingress, the egress, the size, the shape, the ceiling height, all of those factors came into play. And identifying a space to begin with, then the process of working with the landlord and negotiating a deal that economically made sense was a lot of work. We went through that process 4 or 5 times before we found the space that we're currently in. And then once you have the space, that space has to be tailored specifically around the rules and regulations around what we're trying to do. So as an example, storing wine versus purchasing wine versus consuming wine, all of those are different businesses and different licenses in terms of a liquor license, and really kind of controls what you can do operationally and how you can do it. So figuring that out in addition to the zoning is a big process. And then the latest thing that we've dealt with, Forrest, is when you think about 1,000 individual wine vaults in a 3,000 square foot wine vault, the number of bottles times the average weight of a bottle, you're talking about literally tens of thousands of pounds. So it dawned on us, we probably, since we're not on a slab, we need to look at the structural integrity of the floor. So then we had to get structural engineers involved. They had to come out, do a site visit, had to do all the engineering calculations to see, if the floor was strong enough. Turns out it wasn't. So that modified the design. And then you look at different ways to reinforce the floor. And, there's steel beams, there's columns, and now they have this carbon fiber wrap. It's literally like wallpaper that they plaster on the floor that's made of carbon fiber, and they layer it up to bolster the strength of the floor. So things you never in a million years thought you would be dealing with that just kind of come up out of necessity. So it's been a long, interesting journey for sure.
Oh, that wallpaper carbon fiber wrap, they don't give that away, do they?
Yeah, unfortunately they don't. Unfortunately they don't. And, we're still waiting on pricing for that. So I'll have to send you a message to let you know. So we'll see if that's a feasible option or not.
I think when I go to Home Depot today to pick up a light bulb, I think I'll ask the guy, what aisle is the carbon fiber wrap section? What aisle is that in?
That's right. It's been a process. So everyone said, hey, this is such a great concept. You should scale this thing. And 15 of them in all the major cities. And I'm going, man, I can't even imagine. Because again, every municipality is different. So the liquor laws in Georgia are different than Texas, different than California, and the zoning requirements in Los Angeles are different than they are in Newport Beach, and all of that factors into the business. So all that needs to be researched and understood, and it's attorneys and specialists and all that stuff. We haven't even began to build out the space. So I know dealing with contractors and subcontractors, and there's going to be things that are going to come up in the build out process that we're unaware of at this point. But that's what makes it fun. You pivot, and that uncertainty kind of breeds inspiration. It breeds creativity. It breeds collaboration, and that's part of the process. So we'll get there.
What's your full-time job besides this?
This is my full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I again left a career in sales and consulting about 4 years ago, and decided to focus on Bottle Bank exclusively. So
you got a list of all the activities you got to do for the day?
Correct.
To make Bottle Bank happen. Okay. Looking forward to it. Next time I'm in Atlanta, I'll definitely stop by and say hi and check out the facilities. And by then you'll probably have your grand opening.
Absolutely. Look forward to hosting you.
Okay. Let's give me a 10-second pitch on why people should check it out if they're say they're listening in Atlanta and you're open.
Bottle Bank is going to give people the opportunity to create experiences.
Yep.
They're going to walk into Bottle Bank, they're going to have a great time, and they're going to walk out and they're going to say, you know what? There's never been a bad night in that place.
There we go. Never been a bad night. That's how you go out. Drop the mic, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. A great way to impress your friends. Cool. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Nah, Forrest, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure on this end as well. Really, really appreciate your time and interest. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
From Sauvignon to Merlot, we look for adventure at wineries around the globe. The best wine made in